You want it? We have it. The hottest mortgage and real estate strategy broadcast in the nation. A Smarter Way Home with your host, Danielle Boote and Victor Bals. 50 years combined experience, ranked in the top 1% in the nation for home loan originations 2020. Promise to expand your knowledge, utilizing creative mortgage financing and home buying strategies. Build a bridge for a better quality of life. Get your brain cells firing for a smarter way home. And welcome to another episode of A Smarter Way Home. We have modern mortgage solutions and home buying strategies for our consumers and real estate professionals alike. I am your host, Victor Bals, and I am here with my co-hostess, the hostess with the mostest, loan officer extraordinaire, Mrs. Danielle Boote. How are we?
I am fabulous today, Victor. How are you?
I am pretty good today. It is going to get warm here today in Detroit.
I hope so. And we are supposed to have a spring weather this weekend. Almost summer weather, frankly.
In the 80s.
Yes, which is insane considering we've been in the 40s and we had snow this week.
Yeah. Well, Wednesday it was winter and Thursday it's summer.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be summer today, but you know, we might hit about 50, which is definitely a welcome.
I came to work early this morning because you said, get there, you got to let the contractors in. And I went out and opened the garage door and it fell off the track.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And so you were in the garage.
I was in the garage, yeah.
Oh,
so I had to get out. But I called Brighton Garage Door, right, at early this morning. He picked up. He's at my house at 9 o'clock this morning going to fix it.
Oh, fabulous.
I couldn't believe it, you know. So, but anyway, today's show.
The joy of homeownership.
Yeah, the joy of homeownership. So, and let's, that kind of segues into our guest. Who do we have here today, Danielle?
Well, it is my great pleasure to introduce Heather Mahone with Mahone Homes out of Keller Williams in the Fowlerville area. We will call her the queen of the Fowlerville real estate market.
I like that.
Yeah. And her one of the agents on her team is Jacie, Devota. So welcome, ladies. We are glad that you would join us here bright and early this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So we have experienced and we have newly experienced realtors here. So Heather, let's take us back. How long have you been doing this? Where's your area of expertise? How did you get into real estate?
Real estate kind of really just fell into my lap. My husband said, let's go take this class, and said, okay. So I went and I took it and got my license, and it just took off from there. I am getting ready to go into my 19th year.
Wow.
And I've been practicing in Livingston County my whole time. And I do surrounding areas, and I even go outside of my area for selected people because I can go anywhere in Michigan and sell. So it's been really good, and I enjoy it. I love getting to know the people, and that's why I do it now.
So you've been through both sides of the coin, the 2009 mortgage meltdown era, right?
Yeah.
And now this crazy seller's market.
For sure. I've been through both sides, and I've lived it on both sides where I've been struggling and I've been okay. So it's kind of interesting to see that there's a shortage of homes, though, knowing how many houses were on the market in the 2008 through 2012 recession.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting perspective, and I find that some seasoned agents are doing well in this market, and others are struggling because of their past experiences.
Yeah, I think they have to just get out of their own head. You have to just work. You know how to do it. Back to the basics. Work your sphere, and get out there and talk to the people you know. They've been in the business long enough where they have an established database, and that's what they should be focusing on. They shouldn't be focusing on how the market is or how people are struggling.
Or how it was.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Where like Jacie's brand new into the industry. She doesn't have that distortion in her mind. She knows what has to be done, and she's back at basics. And
she's just at this is normal market to her.
Exactly.
Right? Well, what do you think, Jacie?
All I've known since getting into real estate is this
And
crazy
how
seller's
long
market.
how long have you been in the real estate business now?
Since September. I think I joined Heather's team like the last weekend in September.
Okay, so you've only known a seller's market.
Yeah.
And the very limited, we got so many home buyers out there bidding on these properties. So this is the only market you know.
Yeah.
That's
pretty crazy.
Yes. So Jacie, you're the newer one, and we were talking about war stories here. And on one of your first transactions, you had something happen. Take us through that. What happened?
I think that we had originally held one open house, and we had told my clients that I was going to host a second open house. Although that Friday before, we received 2 offers, so we wanted to talk to the clients before and hopefully present those offers. And they were under the assumption that I wasn't going to host a second open house, and they felt that their house wasn't marketed enough, that it didn't get
You had
enough
2 offers on it.
views.
What do you mean it's not marketed enough?
I don't really know.
I think it just comes down to communication. I think they misunderstood what was really being done, and they were very just questioning how things were handled. And once we were able to sit down with them and talk to them, they understood that we were doing what was in their best interest, and we were taking care of them. It was just learning the tough road of communication with clients.
Right. Well, different personality styles are going to hear things differently. Even if you say it in a certain manner, they may not have understood it in their own terms, or just misinterpreted something. To go, if you have that house on the market for a few days and have multiple offers, the big question in real estate, I think today, is how long do you then hold those offers to wait for more? There's almost an ethical line here to say, ethical. Okay, so if you list it on Tuesday and you've got offers by Friday, sure, you can still hold open houses, but how long do you hold that waiting period when traditionally an offer comes in, it's presented to the seller can decide to accept or counter, and now most sellers are faced with multiple offers. So the big question is, how long do we wait as real estate professionals?
Is that ethical to say, hey, we're holding an open house this weekend, taking offers, and then you take offers through the entire next week? Is that ethical, or is that looking out for the best interest of the seller, the buyer, or what?
I think it comes down to each individual client. It's hard sometimes because a lot of times when I get my first offer, I like to tell my clients, hey, I've received a good offer for you. I want to present it. I present that first offer, and then I give them the opportunity. And I say, at that point, would you like me to hold the open houses this weekend, set a cutoff time? And I let them set that regulation, because at that point, I stop opening offers. I won't open and I won't review anything until the cutoff time, because I don't want Danielle calling me and saying, hey, do you have any cash offers?
Right.
That way I can just say, I really don't know. Send me your highest and your best, and I'll present all offers.
Yeah, that's kind of a good way to handle it, because I've heard of agents literally discussing what the best offer is with other agents that call.
Yeah, and is that ethical?
Great question.
That actually happened to me in this first deal as well.
What do you mean?
I had an agent call me and ask if we had an offer, and she really wanted to know what that offer was and all the ins and outs of that offer. And I just kind of summed it up and told her that we had an offer and that we were accepting backup offers, and that we were kind of waiting for inspection and the appraisal to pass, and then we were going to go from there.
Okay. So if, let's say a home is listed for $300,000, and I go there and said, okay, I'll give you $300,000. Let's go to the closing table. Shouldn't that just be a done deal? I'm giving you what you're asking. But it doesn't seem to work that way anymore.
Well, one of the strategies that I've seen, and I'd love your take on this, Heather, is I see many homes that are being listed under kind of what market value is, or at the low end of what market value is, which then causes a feeding frenzy with that particular listing, because here's the thing we're not seeing as lenders, we're not seeing huge appraisal issues.
Right.
Okay. So we have and I'll have agents and clients call me and say, okay, we want to go over on this property. What do you think we should do? And the question that I then give back to my client is, you need to ask your realtor for a market analysis on this property, for that realtor to tell you where homes are selling in this range. Because if it's listed for $300,000, but homes are selling in that $325,000 or $330,000 range, you now just guaranteed that not only is that house going to get bid up to fair market, it's probably going to go over that range because it was worth it all along. And then the lender does the appraisal. And guess what? We don't really have any appraisal issues. Like, I have had 2 buyers in the last week mad that the house appraised at what they were paying for it. They literally thought that it was going to come in low and that they would renegotiate. They did go over asking, and they did small appraisal guarantees, but they didn't do the full appraisal guarantee. And in both cases, one of them was a house, I think, on Lake Shannon, which is like, sells like hotcakes, and you go, this guy was mad. I'm like, dude, you're getting a beautiful house on a fantastic lake and you're paying market value. Yeah. In fact, the guy owns a car dealership. And I'm like, you tell me what's happening in the car world today with car values, and I'll confirm that with real estate. But you go, okay. So I think that the buyers struggle a little bit, and some agents don't explain what's happening with this dynamic. And you go, okay, look at the facts. Don't look at homes that sold a year ago. I don't even want to look at homes that sold 6 months ago. It is right now, the market is 6 months or less because homes are selling so fast. And I've even told agents, tell me what's pending. Tell me what's pending and tell me when it went pending in that market, because those are the comps that our appraisers probably going to find. The appraisers are literally looking, and it's important. That appraisal date's important. So the date that they do that appraisal is when they are pulling the comps. So if something closed, if they go out at this property on a Thursday and something closed Monday or Tuesday, those are our comps.
Yeah.
I watched a neighborhood in Fowlerville go up $15,000 to $20,000 in a month at the beginning of this year.
Wow.
How does that happen?
Wow.
Yeah.
So talk about the Fowlerville market. That is your area of expertise. You got any statistics you could bring to the table here on because it seems to be growing out there quite a bit.
So the biggest problem right now with Livingston County is first home buyers are getting chased out of the market because they can't afford to buy a home. And Fowlerville tended to be a lower priced area in Livingston County, as well as Gregory. So
in a fair tax base.
Yeah, for sure. You're going to definitely, as long as you're not in the village, you're great.
Yep. And even the village is just, it's not that much higher.
No, it's not horrible.
No, it's still better than going to Ingham County or Genesee
Exactly.
County.
But that's what's happening is so that the market from Lansing, like Okemos, Hazlitt, they're working their way toward Weberville, Fowlerville. And then you have Brighton, Howell working their way toward Fowlerville, Weberville.
Yeah.
And they're even going south toward Gregory, Stockbridge.
Yep.
So we've really been focusing our team a lot in that area lately. And we've gotten quite a few listings down there. And it's been great.
It's a beautiful area.
It is.
I mean, even Gregory and Stockbridge, it's a beautiful area, depending on where you work and where you commute from. But so many people, that commute has changed.
Right.
And they're, you go, okay, now, people are going to go into those areas and they can find more affordable properties.
And they could work from their own barn
Exactly.
remotely.
Well, Jacie grew up in Fowlerville, and I grew up in Gregory. So we're real familiar with that area. And then a lot of our team has also lived out there. So we really do a lot in the community out there and stuff. But
and there's still property available. Are you seeing a lot of vacant land sales more?
Not too much vacant land out there right
Not
now.
enough?
Not enough, for sure. Not for what they're looking for. A lot of people want 10 plus acres, hunting availability. So it makes it a little tough. A lot of them are farms and things like that, but it's all good. But the market out there is definitely rising as well.
Yeah.
And
Supply and demand.
And like I said, that neighborhood in Fowlerville, When I priced a home in January, I thought I was going to list it at $275. Homes in the neighborhood were listed at $279, so we matched it, and we just sold $20,000 above. And now homes in that neighborhood for split level homes are going at $319.
Wow.
And you're talking split level homes.
Right.
A year ago, we couldn't get to appraise at $215,000, and now we're at $319.
I remember, 10 years ago, it was typical in Fowlerville to find a home for $100,000.
Oh, yeah.
All over the place.
Yeah.
You can find one for $100,000, but it's not livable.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Now it's a fort,
Yeah.
for $100,000.
Going to need a lot of money to rehab that. And
So-
there are some good opportunities, too, for some buyers that want to put some sweat equity into it. But
So you're seeing multiple offers out there in the Fowlerville area as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you talked about the home buyers are getting kicked to the curb. What are some of the strategies, or what are you seeing out there? How are these home buyers winning to get an accepted offer? What's it taking now?
I guess it depends on each situation. I mean, if you're a cash or conventional buyer, you obviously have a one-up on the FHA, RD, and VA. Now, if you have lenders that know their strategies and have good communication with the agent and can make the phone calls to the other agent.
Does that help when the lender makes these calls to the listing agent?
Absolutely. I think it's very important to have those open lines of communication with the other agent, and even before the offers are presented or looked at, to have that conversation, which makes it really nice to work with you and Danielle, because I know you guys both do that, and it definitely makes it a difference to even like Jacie and I. We were presenting offers this weekend and made phone calls to the agent or the lender, and we waited 2 days to hear back. But once we hear back, it's good that we finally hear, but it would have been nice to hear before we presented offers.
Well, Vic and I answer the phone all weekend long. In fact, if my phone starts blowing up on Sunday night, it's usually listing agents calling. And in many cases, it's the buyer agent didn't even tell me that we were writing, right?
Right.
They had their pre-approval letter. They're just going at it. And, I love to answer those calls. And usually I think it makes a huge difference. My buyer's offer will get accepted if I get to talk to the listing agent. Probably 9 times out of 10. And those lenders that wait 2 days to reply, hopefully the seller will make an educated decision to go, hey, we need a responsive lender. We need a motivated buyer, because you know what? The mortgage process is very cut and dry. But what makes it difficult in our world is borrowers who don't provide the documents we need and we request upfront. So if we have buyers that say, for instance, have all their documents in, and I can tell an agent that this buyer is very responsive. They will work with us very quickly to get what we need and move forward.
Makes all the difference in the world, because it's a team. It's the lender, the borrower, and that buyer's agent. We are a team, and you got to have your act together. But you as a listing agent on your listings, when you see offers coming in, does it matter who the lender is, or do you prefer local or these out of state or these big banks? What's a realtor feel when they're bringing in these offers?
So it's our job, obviously, to present all the offers. Now, does it help? I feel like to have a local lender that you've worked with before in the past, because I can vouch for that lender. Mm-hmm. So if I get a pre-approval letter from you or Danielle versus maybe another lender that's from out of state or something, and even with Jacie just got an offer on hers. I never even heard of the company, and it was from where?
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Puerto
Rico?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we didn't know, like we posted and asked our office, had anybody ever worked with this company, because it was from Puerto Rico.
There's no purchase agreement, no signatures.
No, it
Super weird.
It was like a cover letter that came over with the offer, with a purchase price and a pre-approval letter from this bank saying that they had backing to pay it, but that was all it was.
Interesting.
It almost sounds like a weird sketchy fraud thing.
Scam. Like, send us your money. No, but it was just really strange. But
That's
to
really
see
weird.
that,
I've never heard that.
right, and then you're having to do your homework.
Oh, yeah.
And we did research it. It said it was a legit bank. Now, how Puerto Rico can lend to the
Well,
United
they're a U.S.
States.
territory.
Well, yeah. So I guess you could, but
Right.
I've never seen a pre-approval letter that's that far out.
No.
I mean, you might see them from a different state or
Correct.
something.
Correct. That's
And did
yeah.
this offer come in from a local agent as well?
It was somebody we never heard of.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
and-
but you have to, again, you're looking out for your seller's best interest. And if you have multiple offers and something doesn't add up, which that's definitely a weird situation. You know, I know of somebody recently that was selling a property and they got multiple offers on the house, and one of them was an email from the buyer's agent. Would the seller entertain this? And it was a cash offer, and it was a local agent.
Mm-hmm.
Cash offer under asking price. The house was on the market for a day. There was no offer presented, you know, and they didn't even counter, because guess what? Other offers came in, and the seller was like, no, you know what? That didn't look good. It didn't feel good. And I don't know, I have seen enough problems with cash offers in my career that they don't impress me.
no.
They really, really don't. I would rather have somebody that is motivated, that has got a strong pre-approval and is going to close in a reasonable amount of time, because telling me, I can close in 2 weeks and it's cash, if you've got a great property in great condition and you're not worried about appraisal and inspection, right? What difference does it make if I close in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks if it's for a better offer? So, don't offer less than asking price, 24 hours on the market with an offer that's not even on paper, right? It's an email.
Right.
You go, oh, no,
So is it always about the dollar?
No, not always. A lot of times it comes down to terms. I mean,
Okay, and give an example of a winning offer with terms. Can you describe that, please?
So my clients are teachers and they need to live in their home until the end of the school year and have time to move out. It's okay if it takes 45 days to get it to the closing table, because the sellers need to stay in their house for 60 days after closing.
right.
And
So that may be worth the extra, taking $5,000 less, but getting better terms for
Correct.
occupancy and stuff like that.
well, you and I just did that deal for our veterans moving across the country.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
And he's relocating for a job, and he has to be 60 days within start time of his new job.
to close it. Yeah.
So we
that's
can't close until
May 5th.
8th, I think now.
Something. Yeah.
They
Something
moved
like
us back. They moved us again, but it just is one of those things. So it worked out well for the sellers. They didn't care if we push back because
Because
they
they
wanted
need time.
Right, they wanted
Yeah.
their kids to finish the school year anyway.
Perfect.
Now they
Perfect.
have 60 days in their house after closing. That puts them to July 8th, and my clients will have time to get up here and get into their new jobs starting July 5th.
And thank God we locked him in a month and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
Because the interest rates just keep skyrocketing in there. So what are you seeing in home sales and listings, active or new listings coming on? Is it starting to pick up out there now that the weather's breaking, or what do you
Where
see?
the weather's trying to break.
Yeah.
I mean, it's picking up a little bit. It's not our typical spring market by any means. I think we're
What's different from this spring market to, let's say, last spring or 3 springs ago?
We down in Livingston County. I think we're down listings about 9 to 10%, if I recall the
Yeah, I
last
think
set of
so.
numbers.
Yeah.
I guess we should print those off, Vic. And
I know we could have. I just looked
Yeah.
at them too,
But
statistically.
so we're down in sales, not meaning it's because there's no inventory.
correct.
Correct.
Because there's plenty of buyers out there.
Right.
And we're still seeing numbers go up with pendings and close, but the number of listings on the market are definitely down from last year.
And why is that? Is that because of interest rates are up, or is it because if I sell my home, I'm scared or fearful I may not find one? What's going on out there?
I think that's all plays part in it. I think a lot of the sellers are worried they're not going to find a place to go. But I feel like the experienced agents or even the newer agents like Jacie, they're on a good team. they're going to know how to handle those objections and working with their lenders and figuring those things out.
Okay. Jacie, how do you feel about this market?
It's definitely intimidating. It's been hard to get listings. I haven't really door knocked. The weather hasn't been great. But that's kind of my next
Physically door
prospecting.
knocking.
Yeah, like walking neighborhoods.
Really? And hey, mister, would you like to sell your home?
Well, I think I'm going to do like a spring checklist or something like that. Just start like a conversation, very general conversation, and see where it goes from there.
Well, I think there's approaching 800 licensed real estate agents in Livingston County. Yeah. And in a typical month, what are we having for sales? About 200 sales in a month?
Under 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's mid 2s, I think.
Okay.
So
I think it was
270.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That
that's
ring a bell.
about.
I was looking on my phone. I don't have them, unfortunately, to pull up.
So that's like one of 4 agents only are getting transactions.
Well, not all agents are full time. So when you look
that's
at
right
those
too.
numbers,
Okay.
you know, not everybody's full time or not everybody's active. So I guess what would be interesting to find out is how many active real estate agents are. When you look at that 800 number, you're looking at agents that have their license in holding.
Right. So do we see, are we going to see a cleansing, Heather, in the real estate agents?
I believe so. I think we're definitely gonna. I don't know if we'll see them completely let their license go, but I mean, how can you afford to pay all your fees and to market and do all the work that you need to do as an agent if you're not selling homes?
Right, right.
Yeah, you know, it's not. Everybody looks at it and go, "Oh, you're a real estate agent. You got your license." But no, there's a lot of expenses that go with maintaining your active status with the board, with RealComp, to have access to all the tools that you need to actually list and sell properties.
Okay.
So I just pulled up the Livingston County market report for March.
Okay.
We were down 9.1% for new listings, which you were right on.
From
Danielle.
where? From when?
From March of last year.
From March of last year to March of this year, we're down 9% in listings.
Yeah. And we're down 5% in pending sales and 11% in closed transactions.
Okay.
So there's definitely a down market compared to last year.
But that is not because, that's just because of the lack of inventory.
It is.
We're in the stalemate.
It's not. I mean, I know last month, I think I did well over 30 pre-approvals.
Yeah.
You know, so from a lender standpoint, and this is where we have to take the real estate experience and data and the lender information, right? And everybody's talking about, okay, mortgage applications are down nationwide. Yes, they are, right? There's not many refinances. But we have the amount of pre-approvals that we have are huge. The amount of clients that I have had looking for a year or more that are reaching out to update their pre-approval is huge. But the hard part in our world is having that conversation with someone that I approved a year ago in the 3% range, now telling them we're in the 5% range and going, okay, you know, one of the things that when Vic and our last podcast, we talked about a new program that we offer called Lock and Shop. So we can actually lock someone's interest rate in for 50 days before they have a purchase agreement and an address. It's an old program. It was around decades ago. We haven't needed it in decades. So now it's come back in this market, which is kind of cool. Well, here's the problem, because I had a conversation with this client yesterday who's been looking for a year, has actually backed out of 2 accepted purchase agreements because of cold feet, not because of bad inspections. And now they're looking at homes that are higher in value than they thought that they wanted to be, but they weren't ever realistic in the first place. That's the problem. And now interest rates have gone up, and the wife is in banking. Okay, so she understands the financial markets. And I talked to her about Lock and Shop, and I said, look, if you want to do it, I will. But you have to tell me you're motivated enough to go find a house
And start kicking some tires.
in 50 to 110 days.
Yep.
You know, and they're looking, but, you know, are they going to is the buyer motivated enough to write an aggressive offer to get it accepted? You know, with all of those things into play. And that's, you know, I had another client ask about Lock and Shop, and I've had her approved over a year. She sold her house. Okay. She's renting. She's retired. And she was in Vegas at the time. And I said, call me when you get back from Vegas, and then I'm going to have a conversation with you about how serious you are.
Yeah, why?
Because if
we can't lock you while you're in Vegas if you're not out there actively looking.
You're not shopping for a home, you know. So that's an interesting conversation to have with people these days. And I get that it's not easy, but we are seeing buyers that have success and with buyers that are not. But and you can just tell. I can tell when I'm having a conversation with somebody how motivated they really are.
Well, tell them about that weekend. You had 3 of your clients bidding on the same house.
Yeah, so there was a listing in the Howell corridor. I knew the listing agent, and I think it was listed for $330 range. And I looked at it and went, oh, that's low, okay? It's a nice ranch on acreage. So one of my clients calls me. I run all the numbers, send the pre-approval, coach them on going, okay, where are you going to go? What's your strategy? The whole 9 yards. I did really not know their buyer's agent very well, but I happen to know the listing agent. So I called her, didn't get her voicemail, or instead of leaving a voicemail, I decided to text her because I knew her. So I said, hey, my clients are writing on your property. Just want you to know they're fully approved. Income and asset docs are in. They're my past clients. They're cooperative. We can close fast. What does the seller need? Any questions, let me know. So she replies back a little while later and says, which buyer, Danielle? I said, how many offers do you have? She said, I have 6 offers right now. 3 of them were my clients' pre-approvals.
Yeah.
And out of the 3 of my clients, one of them was actually in the running. And that house, my buyer ended up drawing a line in the sand, and they literally lost the house over $2,000.
Wow.
Oh.
Now they did find another house. They're in contract. They're going to close probably next week. So everything happens for a reason. But it was like, you know, again, and the other 2 buyers, I didn't even know that were writing on that house because they're not concerned about numbers as much that, you know, right. And they just keep going out there and looking and writing offers. But clearly their strategy is not aggressive enough in order to get an offer accepted. You know, so we spend, you know, we're working just a tremendous amount of hours.
Well, you know, and that's funny because when we see these multiple offers where, you know, there'll be 20 offers on a home, that means there's 20 realtors, 20 lenders, writing stuff up, running numbers, submitting all that work, and 19 of them are going to lose.
Yeah.
Well, and it's tough too when you're dealing with sellers all over the place because we just listed one in Canton that had 14 offers all over list price.
Wow.
With appraisal guarantees on everyone. So you have that going, and then we have one in Gregory that gets a few offers and explaining to them why they only got a few offers versus another listing that got
right. Well, location matters, right? Because there are more people that want to be in the urban areas than in the country areas.
Right.
And that's why if buyers keep kind of heading west or north or south, they might have a little bit better luck if they're willing to.
And it's trying to convince your Fowlerville, Howell buyer, Brighton, that it's okay to go north to Linden, Argentine, Byron.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get more house and have maybe more opportunity if you step outside that Livingston County border,
right.
Just a touch. Especially if the commute and stuff won't be affected.
And Danielle always brings up the point of, you know, a house is an asset. It's like investing in a 401k. If you're going to start investing, maybe you can't get your dream house, but if you want to have home ownership, you may have to cross the boundaries
right.
and, you know, the county lines and that. But get in the game because these prices are not going to be going down. I don't see it happening. Mm-mm. You know? Where do you see the market go? Do you see prices leveling off here?
I don't know really how they can yet.
Well, first of all, wouldn't any of us love to have a crystal ball?
Yeah, for sure. But when you are looking at the shortage of inventory that we're in and the cost of building supplies and the builders can't build houses fast enough to cover the amount of buyers that are out there right now, how can prices go down?
Yeah, I don't see it. But we hear so many people saying, oh, I'm waiting for the market to crash. There's a bubble. We're all gonna die.
Well, that goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast when it comes down to those of us that have lived through it.
Yeah.
When you have lived through it and that's what happened before. You just don't, if you're not in the industry, you're not understanding really that we're in a shortage of inventory, where in the past we weren't in a shortage. We had such an influx of inventory.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the hard things these days is the news doesn't always give the full story, and people will read almost anything on the internet and they assume that it's true, right? And if you're not reading something that's coming from a reputable source, I had somebody call me yesterday about a pre-approval, and she was hoping to do the rural development loan program and read somewhere that interest rates were in the 3% range. And I went, okay, I'm not. And she goes, well, I read that. It must be true. And I said, well, I don't know what you're reading. I said, interest rates have been going up all year, and here's where they are today, and she was shocked. And I was like, well, I said, I can't tell you what you're reading or even if it's accurate or if it, interest rates change daily. So if you read something that somebody wrote in 2020, it's not necessarily going to apply today. And that, I think, is difficult, for consumers to understand.
So I guess I have a question for you guys. How are you guys feeling with the forbearance loans and the paybacks that have happened in the last, due to COVID?
2 years, yeah.
And now that people are coming to have those where they have to pay some of that back, or are you?
So nationwide,
Yes.
the forbearance numbers peaked. Refresh my memory, Vic. Was it
2020.
July of 2020?
Yeah.
July and August of 2020 was when it peaked. Okay. Very quickly, we had over 5 million homeowners nationwide that were in the forbearance program. But many people that went into it didn't realize that you were just going to have to pay those payments back. So there were literally, I'm talking people that had no financial hardship that went into it and went, what the heck am I doing? And quickly got out of it and paid their payments back. There are people that have been in it for 12, 18 months. But what the lenders are doing is, if the client can afford to make their payment, they modify the loan and tack on the missed payments. Basically, they do a loan modification and make sure that they can still afford this house, modify it, move forward. Because obviously, if you have not made a house payment in a year and had financial issues, then you're not going to be able to catch it up. Okay. I have seen people that had severe job loss in the last 2 years that took the forbearance, then got out of it. Then we were able to refinance. So we've actually, on a conventional loan, we can actually take somebody that's in forbearance and help them buy a new house. I have a client right now that is doing that, and they're downsizing because of, job changes and things. But they've got a lot of equity in their home. So
well, and I think that that's the difference too in the market now, that even if you're stuck in one of those forbearance loans and you can't make your payments anymore, you are going to have enough equity in your home.
Correct.
Where if you talk to a professional and you get out there, you're going to be able to get out of the situation you're in, get those loans paid off, and still have money to help you buy a new house.
And have a fresh start.
Right.
For
Now,
sure.
will we potentially see some foreclosures in the next year? Yes, and I guess I'd love your opinion to see if you see any of that inventory potentially coming out. But what I would see is a foreclosure situation in this market would be potentially someone that passed away that does not have a family to deal with the estate, and houses that are in very poor condition, that are basically almost not sellable. Let's say somebody lived there 40 years, aged in place, couldn't take care of the place,
Or somebody who bought in 2019, just prior to the pandemic, and
But even then, in most situations,
yeah, it's 3 years now.
Man,
the
3
equity.
years, you've got a 20% gain on your investment. So even if
Yeah.
you bought RD zero down in 2019, you'll see some foreclosures, and the natural cycle of real estate, there's always a small amount of foreclosures. But a lot of times people don't know what to do. They don't call an agent and say, "Hey, I need to sell my house." They just go, "Okay, I don't know what to do."
Well, and I think that's the biggest thing, that the foreclosures we see are going to be people that didn't know, and they just didn't go talk to a professional.
Yep.
Or like you said, that they don't have anyone to take care of their house for them. But most of the people that are out there, if they know to just ask a couple questions, they're
Yes.
going to realize that they can get out of the situation they're in. I just had one of my sellers, he sold, and we had to pay back like whatever his forbearance loan was. It was an additional mortgage, and we had to hold back money for it at closing because they couldn't get the payoff amount for it and stuff. But
Yeah.
he still walked away with so much money in his pocket, and it's helping him pay for a wedding this year and helping him buy his forever home with his new wife. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's going to be a great thing. But it was just because he knew he could call me and he trusted
Yes.
in the process and let us help him. And
Well,
let him-
if if a homeowner goes just to the online sources, right, to look at the value of your home, that is not always accurate. It can be too high. It can be too low.
That's why it's free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anything that you're getting for free in this world I would caution you to trust the information. It's like people calling with their credit scores. Well, I did Credit Karma, and my line for that is do not ever give your social security number to anyone and expect something for free in return. They're going to sell your information to thousands of companies there to make money off of you, and they're not even giving you a real credit score. So the same thing with real estate. You know, if you're in a position where you have a house and you are struggling, or you need to move, you don't know what to do, you've got an estate sales situation, call a local real estate professional because they'll help you through it, right? Look at what you're doing for the sellers of your listing who you said were an estate sale. There's a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, situations where that family member that's now selling this house doesn't know.
Well, and Jacie was able to hook them up with professionals to help them. They had things to sell? They
Like collectibles. They had like DVDs,
cameras,
records,
A
Model
lifetime
Ts,
of,
yeah.
oh wow.
So many,
So much.
Collectible
so many
cars.
models.
Yeah.
So Jacie was able to give them a whole list of people to contact. They had camera people come out and tell them how to bundle it, how to sell it, what price they should be asking for. The models, they did all the research for them, gave them prices on, and now they're at a company because of those connections that Jacie hooked them up with, where they are selling the models for them, and they're obviously paying the company a percentage. However, they would have never been able to take on that role. They were already trying to clean out a house and deal with the loss of a family member and things like that. So calling a professional and knowing that we have these connections, she was able to help that family very easily.
Yeah, and here's the thing I'll tell you, Jacie. With all the stress, right? They're going to be happy
Oh,
that
yes.
you did such a great
Did you
job
close?
at taking
Did you
care
close the
of them.
deal yet?
No.
It's under contract.
Oh, it's under
but,
contract.
we have inspection on Friday, and then yeah.
Hopefully
So
It'll
you're
happen
getting a
fast.
whole 20 years of experience in one transaction?
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, that's okay. That is called baptism by fire.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good way to
And
put it.
she definitely had a baptism this weekend.
Yeah,
She was dipped
yeah.
in a few times, I think, where we had to talk down off a ledge.
Oh,
and
yeah?
walk through
Oh.
it.
Yeah.
It was good, though. But that's part of working with a good team and
Yes,
having
you've
good
got
people
all the
behind
support
you.
and the experience.
And she's doing fantastic.
So-
Well, I think that's a great thing about real estate right now is that you, even as a newer agent, working with Heather as a mentor, as your coach, right, as your team lead, that gives you so much more experience and support. Because if you were completely on your own, you'd probably be like, oh, this
No
is
idea.
insane.
Yeah.
Wow. So how many people do you have on your team now, Heather?
We are at 7 total, and we have an 8th ready to take her test. So as soon as she takes her test, we're sitting at 8.
So who's on your team now?
So Jacie, we have a new member, Jason Allen, who is somebody that I went to school with, and he is a hunter, and he's focusing a lot on vacant land and vacant land rentals for hunting season, which is
Ooh,
going to be
that's kind
super
of a
cool.
niche.
Yeah, it's going to be his little, he wants to do a little bit of everything, but that's going to be one of his focuses is hunting and hunting properties. Don Rose, who is a longtime member, he graduated Howell High School, lives in Fowlerville now, raised his kids out there. Bobby Flannery, same thing. She's out.
She's your admin.
She is my admin, my right hand.
Yep.
And she is helping.
And your left hand.
Exactly. And she's helping with all the new agents too. And then we also added Katrina Brewer, who is a new agent, and she's doing amazing. Also, she just got a new listing out in Jackson. So we're
That's
expanding.
an up and coming area.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's coming because it's the price points that people can afford.
Yes. Yep.
So she's doing great, and she just found out she's going to be a mom to a baby boy this summer.
Oh, that's
so
cool. Very
exciting
fun.
news. And then myself and my husband. So I hope I didn't miss anybody. Like trying to think through everybody. But we have a really good group, and I feel like we're at a good number right now. I don't see us growing anymore right now.
No.
I think we want to focus on getting our team strong and just taking care of our clients.
And you have a new location coming soon for where your office is going to be. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We are going to be right in downtown Howell, and it's right next to the movie theater down there. It's the old Pearl building. It's getting refaced and just remodeled. It's going to look great down there. It's exciting to be back in Howell. We haven't been there in a while. We're still going to focus our roots, though. We're going to keep working in the Fowlerville area and keep helping those families that we've established out there and stuff. So, yeah, it'll be exciting. I think either way, Livingston County is home to all of us, and we're ready to help wherever we can.
Well, we've got more land. Remember 20 years ago when you kind of got in the business, remember what they used to call Livingston County the Golden Triangle?
Yeah.
Because of our proximity between Detroit, Flint, Ann Arbor, and Lansing.
Yep.
And then during...
Wouldn't that be a square?
Yeah, I guess it kind of would be. I don't know who called it a triangle. Maybe we were in the middle. I
think it was Lansing, Detroit, and Ann Arbor.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
maybe not Flint.
Then when Flint got like the airport and everything and they expanded, we went up that way.
Yeah, we are kind of really nicely located, right in mid-Michigan. Well, I guess we're in southeast Michigan, but
yes,
it's nice to get to the freeways and you can get to anywhere.
Well, and even though the price point of our real estate sometimes is a little bit higher, we have such a low tax base.
Yes.
Coming out of for instance, the Detroit market, our taxes are about 50% less, and we have a very fiscally managed county, where we're not spending more. And, as residents, we appreciate that. My kids ask me, why did you and Dad move so far away from the city? When my daughter went to college in Southfield years ago, and I was like, well, because that was all we could afford, and we wanted to be in a more rural community. And now that they're homeowners, they go, oh,
Now we get it,
I have one daughter that lives in Oakland County and one that lives in Livingston. And I've literally, my older daughter called me a few years ago when daughter number 2 bought her house in Howell and said, why is Allison buying a house that expensive? They can't afford that. That's too much money for them. And I said, well, here's what you don't understand. So I literally broke down the numbers and I said, you live in a less expensive house with more expensive taxes. They have a more expensive house with less expensive taxes, and your payments are about the same. So don't worry, I didn't overqualify them for a mortgage. They know what they're doing. So she didn't, they would look at it and go, oh, I said, you want to move back to Livingston County and I'll help you too.
Well, I remember hearing stories like my parents bought their first house for $27,000 in Livonia, but their interest rate was at like 17 or 18%.
Oh, yeah.
So you're like, how could you even afford a house? That's like a credit, putting a house on a credit card.
It is.
And
it
making
is, but
minimum
that was
payments.
the 80s in inflation.
Oh,
Jim and I
crazy.
bought our first house in 1990 at 10.5%. And you go, when we looked at it back then, first of all, we thought that was a decent number. We had no idea what we were doing. We thought we went, well, we heard that in the 80s that they were a lot higher than that. So 10.5 didn't sound bad. And Jim was paying rent and I was paying rent somewhere. And we were like, well, the house payment was cheaper than what we were both paying for rent. And we're like, well, you got to start somewhere.
Well, and then when you think about 5% interest rates right now, are they really that bad?
No. The average interest rate in the last 50 years in this country is 8.5%.
Right.
paying 1.5 points on the average too.
Correct.
You know, so
we're still below that.
Yeah.
Well
Well,
below that.
Danielle and I were talking the other day is, some of these home buyers that just came in the market here in the last couple years, they have the spoils of the pandemic because we had such low rates down at less than 3% on a 30-year fix, and they're waiting for that to come back.
Yeah, no, don't hold your breath. If you wait for that, you will never be a homeowner.
Yeah. So rates continue to go up. So Heather, what is a tip for home buyers? What's your word of advice for these home buyers who keep getting kicked to the curb? Any word of advice to them?
I think if you've been shopping for a house for a while and you haven't saved any additional money or done anything to better your circumstances since you've been pre-approved, so like FHA buyers, let's say, for example, that need 3.5% down and could use some concessions. Well, if you've been trying to find a house for over a year and you haven't saved any additional funds and you haven't tried to better your situation at all, whether that's working on credit scores with your lender or something, at this point, it's probably time to take a step back and maybe not look for houses right now. You need to be focusing on always making your situation a little bit better. So if I come to you, Vic, and you approve me for an FHA mortgage because my credit score is at 640, tell me how I can get my credit score to a 700 and let me be working on that right now too while we're trying to find a house.
Yeah, that's
That's a great tip.
very good, honest, upfront advice. Even though you're kicking away business, but maybe it's not time for you.
Right.
Better your situation.
Well, I find that there are agents, and I would love your opinion on this, that are still out showing homes to buyers that are not approved. I got a call yesterday from the girl looking for an RD loan for 3%, that she's been out looking for homes, and she's going to look at homes with the agent. And I'm like, okay, maybe the agent's not that busy. Maybe he's newer to the business. But you then are putting a situation together where that buyer's going to find a house. We don't even know what they're approved for. We don't even know, are they RD? Are they FHA? Are they conventional? And there's going to be a highest and best situation on the house. So how are we really serving the buyers or the sellers by showing people houses that are not approved? Because, okay, if that house got 20 showings in 3 days, how many of them are really approved is my question. They're not all legitimate buyers. And I think my opinion is that probably there's at least 20% of the buyers out there right now that are not really legitimately pre-qualified.
Well, I think Jacie can attest to this. My agents know that they need to have a pre-approval before we jump and go show a house. Because why should we take time away from our clients that are pre-approved and that have done the work? And why would she ever take time away from those people or
waste your time or your gas money
or her family?
Yeah.
I mean, you have things that you have to do in your life too. And if you're running and running, now I can tell you this weekend, I did get a phone call on Easter. It was a referral. He wanted to go see this lake house. I know for a fact he was not approved, but it was a referral from a client, and I was going to help look out for them. As soon as I got there, I talked to him about, can you buy this house without selling your other house? What's your other house list? Where would we list your other house? We talked about it while we were sitting there. Who did you get a phone call from yesterday?
That guy, yeah.
So we went through that. Victor went through all the options with him. We found out he can buy a house without selling his house.
Perfect.
Verbally. I still have yet to have
verbally.
income. Yeah.
But
it sounds like the structure was there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know now that house wasn't the right one because we talked again last night. However, he is going to move forward, working with Victor, trying to get his pre-approval at least in line.
Get it ready to go.
And then I'm starting to send him listings. He's not ready to retire for 2 years. But if the right house hits the market, he will be ready.
Yep.
And we know where his house will sell, how much money he'll net from that house. And we talked about what is it called?
Recasting.
Recasting his
when he sells his
loan
house,
when he
he
sells.
can pay the mortgage down.
You know, because Danielle and I both, we all get these calls. Saturday night, 7 o'clock, right? Brand new client. Hey, can I get a pre-approval? I want to put an offer on a house tonight. And this actually puts the lenders kind of in a bad position, and also puts the buyer in a bad position because not only do they want to look at that home, they're emotionally starting to connect there. Now they got to deal with getting all the paperwork and doing a loan application, not understanding strategies, doing stress. And sometimes it's our reputation on the line because we may not have that income or those asset tax. Oh, I'll get them to you tomorrow. But we got to get an offer in tonight.
Right.
And a lot of times, these clients are self-employed or they got a home to sell. It's going to be tight. They've been on the job less than 2 years, so we can't use overtime. We don't have all the details, so we're kind of going out on a whim, in a sense, putting that offer in.
And we don't love that.
No, we don't love it at all.
We want it to be solid. We don't want to have a surprise. I mean, one of the things, we use our online app frequently. So the clients go on, apply for the pre-approval. Well, here's the problem with that. They don't know what to put in for their income. Okay? They don't know if we're asking for net income. They don't understand the difference between net and gross. So sometimes we get a number and I go, well, nobody makes that little money. And then I find out, well, that's what I take home after, and which is still important, but that's not what we use to qualify. Or the flip side is, I get somebody that applies and says, oh, they make $10,000 a month. I don't like when it's a round number, right? You go, no, that doesn't, and then it was, no, we get the pay stubs and that's not what the base is. The wife was just guesstimating what her husband makes in overtime, or vice versa. And you go, well, that ain't going to work either. So there's a lot of work that goes into that. Now, if you, with the scenario you just gave us, if that client is a homeowner on the verge of retirement, you can probably guess that they got their financial ducks in a row, but we're still going to have to do the work. So that, to me, made absolute sense what you did for that client. But those first-time home buyers, oh my Lord, please don't show them houses until they're pre-approved.
Yeah. Wow. And a lot of those are those Saturday night 7:30 calls. Yes. Hey, I'm a first timer and I got to put an offer in tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, or they go through an open house and they're like, this is the right house.
This is it, man.
Yeah. Have you talked to a lender? Nope. We'll get to the back of the line.
So it's very good when we work with real estate agents that actually coach their buyers to, or their sellers, to get pre-approved for the house, get your ducks in a row, so we don't have to emotionally think about that. We're only thinking strategies and executing with precision on there, Heather, how does somebody get a hold of you to contact you or Jacie, or get a hold of your team if they want your services?
So you can find us on Facebook. We're Mahone Homes. So all of us are out there. We do a lot of advertising as a team, so all our phone numbers and stuff are easily visible, like on our Facebook page or on our Google page. But Jacie can give you her phone number right now if you want.
Go ahead, Jacie. Let's get some business going your way. And how would one get a hold of you, Jacie?
So I have a Facebook, a business Facebook. I have an Instagram. I have a Google business. Phone call, text message, anything.
Okay. And how do they find you on Facebook?
Just Jacie Devota, Realtor.
Okay. Well, do we have any closing words for our consumers or our real estate professionals alike?
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
That's a good one.
That's what my daughter says.
For buyers.
Yeah. Don't give up.
For realtors, all around.
That's what I told her this weekend. I was like, it's just one deal in many. It's okay. You'll get through it, and we shake it off, and you move on to the next one.
Absolutely.
The one thing I did this week that was really, I felt really good about, and it was really exciting to do, is I went back and I taught a class for first-time home buyers. It was just a 15-minute workshop to my sorority back at Central Michigan.
Wow.
But it was, and I actually used Highland's do's and don'ts list, and we went through it, and I just explained to them that as a buyer, you don't have to pay for your realtor. So hire a professional that you trust and you like. They will help guide you to the right lender for you, help connect you, help get you pre-approved. And we talked about like walking numbers back. So just because you get approved for $400,000 doesn't mean you want a $400,000 house payment. So let's make sure you're working with a great qualified lender to walk you back to the price point we really should be looking at. And I think that was a great experience for me to teach those new buyers. And I think that's something I'd like to do more.
That is very cool.
That is excellent.
Maybe we can do it with Highlands.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I love
Absolutely.
teaching.
Yeah, we
I
do.
I really like that. Danielle, any closing words as we wrap up the
Well,
show?
thank you, Heather and Jacie, for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to work with you, to gain your knowledge, and we appreciate the integrity that you bring to real estate in Livingston County, which is only going to be more important, I think, moving forward. So you're training under one of the best, Jacie. So.
That's good to hear.
That's good to hear. And that's Danielle Boote. I am Victor Bals, and we will see you next time on A Smarter Way Home.